The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. After Jesus had revealed himself to his disciples and eaten breakfast with them, he said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" Simon Peter answered him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." He then said to Simon Peter a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Simon Peter answered him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Tend my sheep." And Jesus said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was distressed that he had said to him a third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Amen, amen, I say to you, when you were younger, you used to dress yourself and go where you wanted. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go." He said this, signifying what kind of death he would glorify God. And when he said this, he said to him, "Follow me." The Gospel of the Lord. There was a story about Alexander the Great, who was not only considered among the greatest commanders of all time, but when he was younger, when he was still a very young boy, he was already very smart. So one time his father got him a horse who was very wild and uneasy. And so the young Alexander came by and sat down to observe the horse and its behavior for quite a while. And then he got up, took the bridle, and easily calmed the horse down and rode it around in front of everyone. And his father was very impressed about this. And so he asked Alexander how he could tame such a wild horse. So Alexander responded, "I thought that this horse was wild and uneasy because it was afraid of its own shadow. So I just need to turn it towards the sun, and the shadow would be out of sight. That's how I could tame this horse. Turn it toward the sun and away from its own shadow." The Apostle Peter, as we all know, was famous for his 3 times of denying Jesus. And this shameful event was like a shadow that Peter was afraid about. And we can imagine how awkward when Peter had to face Jesus again, and after Jesus resurrected from the dead and appeared to Peter and his disciples. So in the gospel today, it was like an icebreaker story when Jesus resurrected and appeared and ate with the disciples by the Sea of Galilee. And then Jesus approached Peter personally and directly asked him 3 times, "Simon, do you love me?" There is a clear parallel here between the 3 denials of Peter and the 3 questions of Jesus. Jesus knew Peter was still ashamed of the shadow of his denials, so Jesus turned Peter away from it and led him to the bright side of things, to the bright side of love. And the 3 questions of love from Jesus for Peter led to Jesus' 3 commands for him: to take care of Jesus' followers, the sheep of his flock, to take care of the church. We can take this as a significant emphasis that Jesus wanted to make sure that Peter would never forget his mission to be the leader of the church on earth, with a 3-fold responsibility: to teach, to lead, and to sanctify the church. And by asking Peter 3 questions, Jesus did give Peter a second chance, regardless of his weaknesses. And by commanding Peter 3 times, Jesus still chose Peter to be the leader of the church, despite his unworthiness in human standards. Jesus gave him a second chance, and Jesus still chose him to be the leader of the church after all of the things that had happened. So let us remember today that Jesus called us and loved us not through the lenses of earthly standards, but through the sincerity of heart, just like what he did to Peter. By trusting in Jesus' love and mercy, we could be like Peter too, turning away from our fear and our shame, and to turn towards the true source of light, that is Jesus, our way, our truth, and our life. May God, who has begun a good work in us, also bring it to fruitful completion. Amen.